Good afternoon. My name is Ruben Vasquez. I am presenting a video presentation for Aspen University PSY 620 Psychological Consultation for Fall 2018. The assignment is a video response where you identify a consultation process and consultant responses based on two scenarios. Mainly, the assignment centers on determining which consultant responses on the two scenarios is the most effective in the consultation process. As a consultant, I believe it is important to find or establish an initial structure or format of evaluation where you establish role structuring, you establish consultant interpersonal skills that support the initiation of a relationship with a consultee. Also, this will lead to being able to determine domains of assessment such as consultee characteristics, environmental characteristics, and client characteristics. With this said, we can establish, be able to find a problem or determine the problem or define the problem, which will eventually lead to being able to further interact with interpersonal skills, facilitating problem identification and goal setting. The main objective with this is, as a consultant, we'll be able to facilitate strategy to be able to work with a client and be able to determine and find treatment and options for the patient. Looking at the two scenarios in the assignment, we must establish first, as both have its initial consultation, we have to determine role structuring, where you're able to clarify the expectations about the consultation process. And first, as listed, role structuring, which enables basic parameters to ensure a productive working relationship where you establish communication with a consultee, confidentiality, expectations, and you come to an agreement for action with the intent to develop a fully functioning independent consultee, so they are able to work with you in the best interest of the patient. Now, next, the consultant is also setting up interpersonal skills that support the initiation of a relationship with a consultant and with their patients, which is very important, plays an important role comparing both the consultant responses in both of the scenarios. I believe following the process leads towards establishing the domains of assessment, which include understanding consultee characteristics, the environmental characteristics of the situation, and what are the client characteristics that are brought into treatment. The main objective with this will be able to find a definition of the problem or define the problem, and I believe consultant interpersonal skills help problem identification, goal setting, and help facilitate a treatment strategy. Now, looking at the scenario, we have two scenarios that we were expected to evaluate. Scenario number one centers on considering the following two consultant responses to a consultee verbalization occurring early in the consultation relationship. The consultee comes into consultation and he reaches out and says that the job is very stressful. I have never imagined that managing a staff of 7 could be so draining. Everyone has different agendas. No one seems to realize that I can't please everyone all the time. There's two consultants' responses. Consultant number one, it sounds like you feel a lot of pressure to keep everyone happy and no one seems to realize how hard it is. Consultant number two, you know, just from talking to you for 10 minutes, I can see that you are not assertive enough and your employees have lost respect for you. I think one goal of our work together could be to help you become more assertive. I believe the consultation, the second consultation in the scenario number one, the response is effective because it addresses the problem while presenting a solution for the problem brought to the consultation, while it also identifies consultee characteristics, facilitating problem identification and goal setting. I believe as a consultant, I would suggest exploring consultee characteristics in the form of finding strategies that will mitigate job stress for the consultee. Moving on to scenario number two. Scenario number two centers on two consultant processes to a consultee who has approached a school counselor for help with a child. The consultee states, I am really worried about Madison. She seems to cry easily, and I'm wondering if something is wrong or is going on at home. Consultant number one responds, tell me a little bit more about what you're seeing. Consultant number two response was, what time is the next faculty meeting? Now, the assignment centers on determining which consultant responses in the two scenarios is more effective. I believe some of the questions that were asked in the assignment were, which one was more effective? And I believe in the second scenario, consultant number one had a proper response, which is tell me a little bit more about what you're seeing, since the response is the most effective since it leads towards incorporating additional information from the student and supporting assessment characteristics that will encourage collaboration with the intent to resolve a problem for Madison, which seems to cry too easily. Now, with the way I would address it as a consultant, is following the structure that we talked about earlier, is establishing a role structure, where you clarify everything with the consultee, set up interpersonal skills which support the initiation of a relationship, and then during that process it'll lead you to being able to establish domains of assessment, which is consultee characteristics, the environmental characteristics that are surrounding this particular treatment or these particular two situations, and what are the client characteristics, what's the patient going through, so that we can identify the problem and we can work with interpersonal skills as a consultant, identifying and setting goals for treatment and establishing a strategy that will be beneficial for both the consultant in the consultation relationship and the patient as we reach the treatment planning.